Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And listen, folks, we have a lot to get into. This is now day 4 of Judge Corley Watch. We're all waiting and hoping and praying to the gaming gods that she looks at this deal with favorable eyes. Like I said, I've been going back and forth with Kay Asante and Everborn Saga pretty much every morning, because we do talk every morning, and we all believe that Microsoft did a great enough job to not only sell the deal with a 10-year contract, not only to NVIDIA and Boosteroid and a few others, as well as offering that same 10-year deal to Sony, but we also saw a ton of real pushback questions against the FTC when they tried to do what the FTC has been doing since inception, and that's, she called their BS, if you will. So what we're all hoping is that we get a decision by week's end, which obviously tomorrow is Friday. And speaking with Foss Patents through DMs the last couple of days, he's in strong belief that they are going to potentially send down the information, and whether or not she's going to approve the PI or deny the PI Friday evening. Now, Friday evening for us, Friday evening for San Francisco, where the courts are. The last time that this happened with the Gamers lawsuit, it came down at 7 p.m., which was San Francisco time, and that would be 10 p.m. here. So it's, again, it's all up in the air. We don't know. We know that the 18th is upon us, and it's only going to be a matter of the next 24 to 48 hours whether or not we actually get a decision, or at least a favorable decision. And just based on everything that we've seen and everything that's been presented, the FTC did not do a good job. Not only did they fail at console SLC, but they failed miserably at cloud, because they basically couldn't even answer the question of what cloud is. Is it a separate market, which we know that it's not. And I'm just hoping for the best, because, like I said, I think Microsoft needs a big W here, and this would be a big W. But we're not talking just about that, folks. IO Interactive opened up another studio, folks. I got to be honest with you. The more studios that they open up, the closer I start to believe that this is the next studio being acquired by Microsoft. Obviously, they're working on Project Dragon. They're also working on the 007 game. 007 could very well be an exclusive the same way Indiana Jones was. We don't know, but we'll find out. And we also want to talk about one of my favorite things to talk about, and that is Banjo Kazooie. A lot of talk with Banjo in the last couple of days. X-Rare developer feels that there really isn't a marketplace for it in this era of gaming. Parris Lilly, of course, you know who Parris Lilly is. I kind of push back on that, and of course, I want to champion Parris, because not only is he an amazing part of the community, folks, he is going to be guest appearing. Not yet on this show. Take it easy. I'm trying. He's going to be guesting with Kay Asante and Everborn Saga on the Gaming Circle podcast this Saturday morning. And it's not just a visit, folks. He's hanging for the entire show. So definitely, if you're not subscribed to the Gaming Circle podcast with Kay Asante, you're doing it all wrong. But Parris Lilly is going to be there. But hey, C Money, you're making the rounds, brother. Like I told you, you and the fam got the key to the kingdom. You join us anytime you want. How you feeling, brother? Welcome.
Oh man, feeling great, Boom. Thank you so much for having me back on. Yeah, it's fun, dude. I love doing this, so I'm very, very thankful that you're having me on. Last week I was on, and I was on Box's Burgers channel too. It was cool, man.
Nice.
It's good. We have great topics. Excited, Steel Rain. Been able to pop in. Been honored to meet him, so that's pretty dope. So yeah, man, it's all good stuff. I'm excited. It's gonna be a great episode, man. It's gonna be great.
Well, we're great to have you. And Steel Rain, my goodness, I was worried because of what happened on Saturday, and I was like, my gaming gods, please let this guy be in here. He's got to speak his piece. How the heck are you, brother? How's it?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and beautiful people. It is I, and I am him, the one and only Steel Rain, and hopefully you can hear me.
Yes, we certainly can.
As Boom has mentioned, there has been some technical issues for whatever reason. I think somebody might have tried to do some DDoSing on us last weekend. I think that's what got us. But nonetheless, I went and did some work in the background, so things should be fine. But we are here today, and as far as the family goes, Boom, I do want to say first off, definitely apologies for last week. Family emergencies happen.
Family first, brother. Family first forever. That's what it's all
everything
about.
is taken care of, and we're rocking and rolling. Nice. And I think we're gonna have an exciting time today, though, man. Again, here with C Money, first time ever podcasting with him, and he did a great time last week. So it's gonna be exciting to get into these topics and see what kind of heat he has for him. And Boom, man, it's always an honor for you to, ask me to be on anytime, and I'm always there for you, man, and anytime I can be. So really appreciate you, chat. Much love to you guys. I'm ready to get into these topics, and I'm excited, man. So much love.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you back. Obviously, you bring a significant amount of knowledge and personal understanding about the industry. You don't cap for anybody. You keep it real 100%. So we're really happy to have you here. But I want to open up with a small topic. Now, this is a small topic that's confirmed, but it's also on a back end of a hypothetical. We learned what is coming into Xbox Game Pass this month, and there's some good games in there, but there is one great game in there. Now, obviously, it's been in there before. It's back. Grand Theft Auto 5, ladies and gentlemen, making its return debut to Xbox Game Pass. Now, everyone, and I mean just about everybody, has about 3 or 4 copies. I got like 2 that I didn't know I bought underneath the couch cushion. I don't know how they got there, but somehow I bought them. That is one of the highest selling GTA. It's actually one of the highest selling games of all time. It's egregious.
Facts.
How many copies of that game has sold. Okay. But as exciting as that is for anyone that actually doesn't own GTA, and I'm like, does anybody not own GTA 5? Like, honestly? I mean, we're talking about a game that came out.
It was on 360.
The 360. I think it was 2013 it launched. Right? Am I wrong about that, chat? Please tell me if I'm wrong, because you will.
Yeah, sounds right.
It's old. It's very old, and it's made the rounds. And it's seen a 360 version, and it's seen an Xbox One version, and it's seen a Series X and S version, as well as being on PlayStation and PC in multiple forms and fashions. But you see, that's not really what I want to hang my hat on. You see, because there is another Rockstar game that really has grabbed the
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, and we have to talk about this because, so they just had, and I say Take-Two just had their financials. And of course, they're making money. Well, why wouldn't they be? They're making money.
Hand over fist.
But they made an announcement that 2 current franchises are coming back. Now, they didn't say what 2 franchises they were, but there are 2 that immediately jump off the page. One is Bully. Bully, everyone is asking for a sequel. I don't know if we ever get one, but they could do a remaster and it would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah.
But see, that's not the one. The one that I'm talking about is Red Dead Redemption Remake. Now, this was originally thought to be just an HD remaster. That's not what Pure Xbox is reporting, folks. This is apparently going to be like a full-on Resident Evil 2-esque remake. And if, in fact, that is the case, as we wait for GTA 6, whenever that may be, listen, folks, if there is one game from the 360 era or from the 360 PlayStation 3 era, it was on both consoles. If there's one game, Steel Rain, that just magnifies what a hit legendary IP is, it's Red Dead Redemption. What people don't know, what's interesting is there's actually a Red Dead game that was made by Capcom prior to Red Dead Redemption. It was a Western too.
Okay.
It was absolutely fantastic. Super. I think it was the PlayStation 2 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Red Dead Revolver.
But yes, Red Dead Revolver. That is absolutely correct, sir. Yes.
Great.
So here, this is what we have in front of us, Steele.
Mm-hmm.
I got a story. I pulled it from purexbox.com. It is written by Ben Carey. It was posted on Monday at 11:45 a.m. And we got some tweets here that has some oomph, if you will, to this. Now, there is someone. His name is, and I'm not following him, but he's a writer at Kotaku. Okay, don't attack him yet. He actually might be a good guy. I don't know. Not everyone at Kotaku is an a-hole. A lot of them are, but not everybody. His name is Zach Zewin, or Zewenzen. I think that's how it is. And he is a writer at Kotaku. He posted something on his Twitter, and he says this: as I previously reported, there had been plans for a Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster remake for a while, but post GTA Trilogy debacle, those plans got shelved. However, I was told that the Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster wasn't dead, just taking a pause closer or after GTA 6's launch. Now, according to Zach, he says that the Korean rating board stuff could be the first sign that work on Red Dead Redemption 1's remaster next game port got unpaused at some point last year, and there's current movement on it. Now, after what happened with the GTA remakes, which were nothing short of egregious, they were terrible. Yeah. They were a money grab, a cash grab, a slap to the face of anyone that was a fan. I went out and bought it, and I was like, my God, I should have just hooked up my PlayStation 2. That's how bad it was. But you see, why I bring this topic up? Well, this is an Xbox show. Where are you going with this, Boom? Well, I still think there is a world where marketing on GTA 6 is going to be Xbox. I really do. So you see, Red Dead Redemption is iconic. It is a zeitgeist title. Mm-hmm. It's you've heard me mention that before, folks. Zeitgeist being an important aspect to what Sony does really well, mm-hmm. And I would like if Microsoft were to do it, and it's going to be at small increments of zeitgeist grabbing titles. This is the one that you go out and get. Because it's Rockstar, because it's Red Dead Redemption, and because they have an absolute unbelievable relationship between Phil and the head of 2K. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you, Grand Theft Auto 5 returns to the service, right? Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. And then this story comes up. That made me think, does Microsoft, or specifically Phil, get out there and say, hey, listen, we want marketing on this remake. We think it's going to be important. Do you drop the bag for this if it's going to be of epic quality?
Do you drop the bag on the GTA 6 or on the Red Dead?
No, on the Red Dead. So GTA 6, I think is a done deal. I think that's because that's just me, but we're not covering that really. Really, what I want to cover is Red Dead because, like I said, it's making the rounds. I mean, there's been about 24 websites that ran stories on it, and there's a feverish pitch for it on social media. It actually was trending on Twitter, which is surprising that anything's trending on Twitter the way at the rate it's going. But what are your thoughts on this? I mean, because Red Dead Redemption, again, it's a zeitgeist title. Rain, I for me, that's the one I go for.
I just want to make sure I had clarification. But as far as Red Dead goes, I am definitely on the train for Red Dead making its comeback. Yep. But I'm not completely sure about the marketing side of it. Right now, I do think it would be a feather in the cap if Xbox was able to get in there to cut a deal for Game Pass, whichever the case. Again, it is a remake or whatever they're doing with it. And I think that would be a really smart thing to do because I don't think that GTA 6 is going to be a possibility for them. Mainly because at this point, I do think that Strauss and 2K over there, they don't need it. right? They don't need a particular platform to represent their game anymore.
I agree.
This isn't 15 years ago. 10 years ago when they were trying to get everything set up for GTA 5 and get the online running. The GTA Online was the first time of them really ever doing it to the level that they created it as, right? And the way that they set everything up, right? They gave you a month in between the game releasing to for you to play the story, and then a month later the multiplayer came out. I think it just wasn't ready, and that's why they pushed it out. But nonetheless, but if they were able to get a Red Dead 2 in, because it is more so like a classic, it's like a classic game, right? I think that would be something that Microsoft could potentially get, because it's not something big or huge like a GTA 6 that would cost them an astronomical amount of money to say, hey, play GTA 6 on Xbox. Now, with that being said, I do think that Red Dead is a good choice, mainly out of a selfish reason, because Red Dead 2 wasn't it for me. I am one of those guys that I don't believe that I should put more than 10 hours into a game for me to actually finally get into the game, right? And that was my issue with Red Dead 2. I thought the game was good for what it was, but I never beat it because because it just wasn't gripping enough for me.
Yeah, it
was boring, and the world, like, I get it, like, oh yeah, you can go wrestle gators, you can go shoot these people, like, it was just like, oh, I've done this before, I've done this for years, I've been doing this since GTA, like, San Andreas. So it's like, and even before that, so it's like, this isn't new to me. Just because you put it in a Western environment, it doesn't necessarily speak to me. But I say that, but I'm also I'm biased, because Red Dead is the true cowboy experience to me, right? Now, Red Dead is also, the first Red Dead is supposed to be after Red Dead 2. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they end up playing that out, right? Do you still call that first Red Dead? Or do you say, all right, well, this is Red Dead Part 2? Do you do something like what Sony does and reevaluate how your naming scheme goes? Because some people might get confused about that. But like, oh, well, this is supposed to be the first game, but it's the second game. And how does that work? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. As long as it's single player focused, they don't involve any online or anything like that. Because since Red Dead Online,
keep it as is.
Yeah, Red Dead Online, Red Dead 2 Online wasn't successful.
No, it's terrible.
Not a lot of people were able to get into it. Again, they had a lot of similar issues that the first Red Dead Online had. But as long as they can keep a story focused, they really actually make changes to the game. Not just performance, not just, oh, it's 60 frames now. Oh, not just, oh, it's upscaled to 4K. No, go in there and tailor and go fix the environments, go fix the character models, go fix the towns, go really get people more immersed in that experience. Maybe just give us Red Dead 1 in the Red Dead 2, in that Red Dead 2 setup, right? The graphics and everything, really make it pop so that people can understand why you even created a second game, because and make it a true love letter to the Red Dead IP. My biggest thing with them right now is there's just, until GTA 6, and because of what they did with the GTA trilogy, releasing them extremely mediocre, I just don't have any faith that they're going to do the right thing. I think all their buckets, their whole focus is on GTA 6 currently, and this is more so like let's get something else out there after we release GTA 6, so people can't say, oh, we only release one game every so often, or whichever the case, right? That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from it. I hope that I'm wrong. Again, I'm a fan of Red Dead, the first Red Dead, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play that out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Grand Theft Auto trilogy that came out was poorly received, poorly reviewed. Gamers felt slighted. I was one of them. I bought it because I'm like, man, I remember standing online on the midnight for Vice City. I'll get back into it, and I understand these games are old. Like, they're not going to control like modern games, but it was just so terrible, and nothing worked, and you're right. Your skepticism is well noted, because can we trust them? But I would love to believe, C-Money, that Rockstar saw what happened with the GTA trilogy, and again, we're talking Red Dead Redemption. This is as iconic of a game
major.
as you could possibly get, honestly. Before we get your hot take
Absolutely.
on it, let me catch up on the super chats here. We have Viper 1829. Now, this is amazing because it's his first super chat ever. It's a very generous $10 super chat. And he says this, folks. Hey, Boom, this is my first ever, or my very first super chat. Just wanted to say thank you. Just got back from a 3-week vacation in Germany and Switzerland. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I would love to see the pictures. I can imagine it was gorgeous there. He says, your shows kept me entertained on the bus rides from city to city. Thanks. Ah, dude, that is awesome. I'm so glad that you are, that you not only you're back from your vacation. I know that you'd rather be on vacation, but you might need a vacation from your vacation, especially when you're gone for 3 weeks. I always felt that when I took a long hiatuses, I needed a week past there to kind of get acclimated again. But brother, thank you for the kind words and of course the generosity. Welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying the content. Torino Johnson drops not one. Oh, okay, drops it says here two. He drops two $5 super chats, and I think they're. You might have listen, brother. I thank you for the generosity, Torino. It came through twice. I don't know if you meant that to happen, but he says a friend called me about hearing Microsoft keeping games off of other consoles. I told him Microsoft is being reactive. Sony has been doing this since Sega. Look, here's the thing. I don't know how invested your friend is, regarding, games being, like being a part, like we're here. So we're all diehard fans because we want to talk about games. We want to listen about games. We want to continue to play games. Some people that don't know what goes in between the lines are going to be like, oh, I can't believe Xbox, they're holding games. If they've only had a PlayStation their entire lives and that's what they're used to, well, PlayStation is their main bread and butter, and everything comes there because they've been doing that for years, as you said in the super chat. I think you're going to start to see people look at Xbox differently starting this September. And what I mean by that, and we talked about it last night on Primetime Gaming, we had an amazing, like an hour and 10-minute conversation about Starfield, where I've already declared it as game of the generation. Like, I really think that it is already, based on what I've seen, without even having played an hour of it, this game is going to be generational. Now, again, that's my opinion. I could be 1,000% wrong, but I think that come September, the foundation of the new Xbox is going to start September when this game launches, because what you're going to see is everyone, including your friend, is going to be like, hey, I heard about this game on Xbox. It's something about Star something. Starfield. Yeah, you can be anyone you want. You fly all the galaxy, whatever. You're going to see, and this is where the foundation is the new Xbox. All right, what we saw, a glimpse into the future in June, is what you can expect moving forward. I don't think we're ever, and I really do mean this, and I really do mean this from my heart, I do not think we will ever see a Redfall situation again. And I will stake my reputation on that. It did such damage to Microsoft. It's their first $70 game. It's half-baked. You had AI running around in circles. It was ridiculous. Now, I put 50 hours in, and I loved it. But the game had massive flaws. That's the old Xbox. The new Xbox that you're going to see starts September when Starfield comes out, and they're going to build upon that, folks. I'm telling you. Remember, I said it. Somebody screen capped this. If Idle Sloth is listening, sloth me, and then come back to me after September. But, C-Money, I'll get the rest of the super chats in a hot second. Let's get your take on this. Red Dead Redemption. What does it mean for you as a gamer? To you and your family? Does it resonate? Is it a classic IP? And do you think that Microsoft should look at how this is being developed, say, oh, you know what, this is looking like we expect it to look like. We want in on this, because maybe Grand Theft Auto 6 is too the pocketbook is too expensive. Maybe it's too much. Maybe 2K is like, you know what, like Steel Ryan made a great point. Do they really need do they need Xbox or need PlayStation? No, they're just 2K. It's Grand Theft Auto. It's gonna sell 10 million copies in the first day. So they don't really need it, but this is one of those things where if Microsoft is being selective on what they invest in, I say you invest in getting marketing and get this in the Game Pass day and date. That's just my take.
Agreed. Yeah, no, it's funny because this is kind of a little traumatic for me listening to all this, because this brings me back to 2018, when there was the whole Red Dead and God of War talk. And like, I'm so far on the opposite scale. Like, Red Dead was my life. Like, Red Dead 2 was everything to me. It's one of my favorite games ever made, like, right now. Like, I just love Red Dead 2. The way the detail. See, for me, I love like the detail of shit, right? Like, I love going the extra mile. Like, they put so much detail into this game, and they built it for any possible situation that could happen, and forever from now. Like, I literally stopped playing that game years ago, right? But me and the wife, we have a doodle. I don't know if she's in the chat, but we have a show that we do on our channel called Her, Him, and the Mike, where we kind of just talk between the two of us about pop culture things. Appreciate it. But one of the things we were talking about was Yellowstone, right? When that show was rocking, we were obsessed with Yellowstone. And what we were doing is, in the background while we were talking, we had Red Dead 2 playing, right? So we had done every episode, every week we did one for each episode. And then we went, and on the last episode of the season that they kind of left us on a cliffhanger now, I was like, you know what? Instead of just leaving it, like, I always just left it, because the world is so dynamic that if you just leave your character there, animals go by, people go by, all this stuff. Like, it's so amazing that we would just leave it.
Dude. Bonkers.
Yeah, it's like a living world that we would just leave there. But the last time I said, you know what? While we're talking, I'll just walk around the world, right? So I was just walking around the world while we're chatting, and it got late in the it got dark. And I stumbled up this mountain. Like, we were just kind of walking up this mountain, and I saw this house, okay, just sitting out in the open, right? And as we get closer, you could see that there's lights on in there, and there's like music playing. And then you get closer, and you could actually see that they're partying, like they're dancing in there. They're just dancing, having a good time, right?
That's crazy.
So I get close to the window. To watch, and the guy saw me. He said, "Huh." And they just all started shooting. They ran out. The women ran out the back to hide, and all the guys came out front to come and kill me. It was insane. And this is, again, beat this game so long ago. This was just a moment that I never saw. And had I never done this, I would have never seen it, right? And it's just like, those moments are what take that game to the next level. Just walking around that world, stumbling across something that many people never saw. Just you and some other people who happen to get that in their track. Like, I don't know. I'm obsessed with that game. That game is amazing. Right? So, it's super Bethesda-like, but even like just at a polished level that Bethesda hasn't been able to touch yet.
That's also a little bit deeper in what they do in their mechanics and whatnot.
They go system-wise,
right?
Deeper.
Exactly.
They're way deeper system-wise.
Whereas Rockstar is always focused on the fidelity of it and making you feel like
the world.
Exactly. I get it.
Like, honestly, I could put that game on right now, and it still looks better than the vast majority of games that are out there. And if you put it on PC, oh my God,
it's
max that out.
Completely different game.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So when it comes to Red Dead Part 1, which also I was in love with, the thing about Red Dead 1 versus the GTA trilogy that they made, right? The GTA trilogy was done more just to do it, right? You could see that it was done just to put it back out there, right? But see, Red Dead 1 has an actual purpose, right? Because Red Dead 1 is back 360 days, right? Yep. So if you have that, obviously you could play it looking really nice on your Xbox because of the way they upscale it. Boosted, exactly. But like, for somebody who's not doing that, right, and somebody who just picked up Red Dead 2 and that's what they know and that's what they play, that game leaves you off playing as John Marston. Yep. Okay, it literally picks up where the next one starts, and most of that game world is actually the first game world anyway. Right, so you figure they have the blueprint already laid out. I mean, I don't know how far it would, like, how much work it would take, but obviously for them, I would say the big benefit for them would be is they have that continuation to the story on new gen hardware, right? If they make it where it is in that Red Dead 2 engine and it looks that good. Now the people who go pick up Red Dead 2, play that game, love that game, they have Red Dead 1 at that same fidelity that they can go rock with, right? And then obviously if Microsoft, if they're smart, which they seem to be lining up where they're now going to be start making more of those right decisions, if this game does exist and it is going to be that full remake versus remaster situation, I think 100% you want to get that right into
Yeah.
your marketing side where you're marketing that game. You want to create that idea that these big open world games,
Yep.
that's where you come to Xbox for, right? Because they have so many of them, right? You got Starfield, you got all the Fallouts, you're gonna have Elder Scrolls, you have whatever in Exile, like Fable. These are all gonna be big open world juicy games. And I mean, at this point, you have the biggest names out there, Grand Theft and Red Dead, as far as coming from Rockstar.
Mhm.
You put them right into your subscription, put that into Game Pass, you market it and put it into Game Pass. That's crazy. Will they put it into Game Pass? Probably not. If it's that much of a remaster, like if they're actually remaking it, they probably wouldn't put it into Game Pass. But getting the
No.
marketing for it, that would rock. That would make
Yeah.
sense.
You know, again, I think one of the things we're going to see is, and we've been talking about this, and a lot of podcasts have been talking about this. Is there's a lot of what ifs right now with Microsoft. Do they get ABK, right? And there's a scenario where they get it, and it's gonna, we're all gonna do our victory laps. We're gonna be excited. For me personally, as a big old nerd, which we're gonna talk about Banjo Kazooie in a hot second, is the fact that there's no studio that could make it, but you might own Toys for Bob, who just, I don't know, make some of the best platformers in the history of platformers,
Mhm.
right? Outside of Nintendo. So selfishly, I want to go through for that. Like Grant, the Call of Duty thing, I don't play Call of Duty online, so it don't mean nothing to me. I mean, we get it. Okay, great. I'm just looking at it from a business point of view. Like I have no vested interest. I mean, I have stock, but it's not like I'm going to be making any board decisions, right? So if they get it, it's good for me on the back end of the stock that I own. But for the most part, um, if they don't get it, I'll be disappointed as an Xbox fan, because I think that we could see the amount of money they're going to make on mobile and PC, not counting console, is going to open the door for the return of franchises that would never see the light of day unless they
Yes,
had this money to invest in.
100%,
You know
a
what I'm
hundred
saying?
percent,
So that's why selfishly I
absolutely.
want to do it. So that comes that there is another scenario, and you've heard a lot of people, even Randolph Thor talked about this. How aggressive does Microsoft get if they miss on this? I think they're going to be. I don't think that they are going to. I mean, I think it's going to set a really poor precedence for acquisitions around the industry. I think that this ideology that Lena Khan and the FTC have put forth about, well, they're Microsoft, they're too big, they shouldn't be able to buy anything, is the most ridiculous, stupid thing I've ever heard. That's why if you ever
Agreed.
listen to Lena Khan speak, she's very well spoken, very well educated, but her ideology is clearly classroom based. It does not work in reality because she was a professor. She never did the job that she's doing now. And I think that trying to circle the wagons and lock up business to 500 million or whatever it was that they wanted to do is preposterous in this world. It's just dumb. So again, hopefully, not to change subjects too much, that we see the judge make the right call and pass the deal, because there really literally is nothing wrong with it. But in regards to Red Dead,
Facts.
I think it's one of those games that when you ask most gamers, they will associate that game with PlayStation, and it would be pretty epic of Microsoft, who has a great open door relationship with Zelnick and Phil Spencer, where they can hammer out a deal. Hey, listen, you don't want to put it on Game Pass. I hear you. The bag is too big, but we want marketing. So this is something, if it's going to be done right, and it's going to be one of those games that are brought back and are generational. Like when Resident Evil 2 came back, people were like, "Whoa! Like, are you serious?"
Made
Um,
a statement.
yeah. So, um, I don't know. I mean, to me, I think it's a no brainer, but I do want to move on to there's two topics we're going to cover. We're going to cover IO potentially becoming first party because there's new evidence that suggests I think it is. I mean, obviously through the court documents, we know that IO was on a watch list and it was really close. And it just so happens that IO Interactive is working on an exclusive Project Dragon, or I think it's now called Project Fantasy. I think Jez Corden confirmed that. I think that's going to be exclusive. And they all happen to be working on 007, which I think is also going to work its way into exclusivity if Microsoft is going to help them publish that game. Why would you put it on anything else? Same way Indiana Jones. Oh, look at that. Indiana Jones locked up as an exclusive. Tough titty. What can I tell you? Buy an Xbox if you want to get involved. That's the best thing I can say. Or load up Game Pass on your $6,000 rig that most PlayStation fans have. I don't know what to tell you. But before we get to that, because the IO Interactive thing is for me a studio that's absolutely should join, because again, I still feel a type of way, and I don't know if they're going to rectify this. I don't know if they go back after the ABK deal, win, lose, or draw, and they try and get Crystal D, and they try and get Eidos Montreal, and even the Tomb Raider IP from yeah, because that company's in trouble. They spend a lot of money. They have a lot of studios. Yeah, Embracer's in trouble. And they can easily tell Microsoft, hey, listen, we'll give you a Tomb Raider. We'll give you these two studios $500 million. And they make their money back because they spent $300 million on everything. And Microsoft gets two studios that are currently, I don't know, working on major first-party IPs in Perfect Dark and Fable. Get them in-house. And then when they're done with that, let them go crazy and let them make a game. If you were to get Eidos Montreal, you go to Marvel and you say, we want X IP. Did anyone play Guardians of the Galaxy? What a brilliant achievement of game. This is not Avengers we're talking about. Avengers was marred by the terrible choices that Square Enix forced Crystal Dynamics to make in regards to stupid outfits and paid for DLC. It was just dumb. The story was dope though. But if you can turn around and you get these studios, there's your folks. Pick your Captain America, Punisher, Black Panther, if you will, whatever you want. They would be able to do a story-driven Marvel IP, and it would be Xbox exclusive. So we'll talk about that momentarily, but I do want to talk about something. Now, folks, you may be sick of this. You may be sick of me talking about Banjo Kazooie, but I'm not going to let it die. I'm gonna toe this damn line until we get us a game. Now, the reason why I bring it up is because I got a story pulled here. This was from The Gamer. Now, I normally don't pull the stories from The Gamer. I've only pulled one or two. This is one or two of them, but it was well written, and I want to give them credit. It's the thegamer.com. It was written by George Forster. It was published 5 days ago, and lead title says former Rare developer says there's not an audience for a new Banjo Kazooie. Now I disagree. Now also there is, and C Money and I were talking before Steel Rain got here. The problem with this particular era of gaming is that there are two sides of the coin. There is the Jim Ryan side where sell console A, you buy game for console A, and that's the way it works. That's the old way of doing gaming. That is not how gaming is going to moving forward. We see this. Engagement is the metric. And for Xbox, what they did for themselves by creating Xbox Game Pass was tell the world that they don't need to sell you the game in order for a game to be successful. They don't have to sell 10 million copies of Banjo Remake to make profit, because that's not what their ultimate goal is. Sure, do they want people to buy it? And if there's a special collector's edition, I'm going to buy it just like I did the Starfield. I wouldn't even think twice. But you buy it and you invest in Xbox Game Pass, and the lifeblood of this service is new games, is games that go beyond shooter bro do games.
Mm-hmm.
Genres have to be represented, and in the Xbox Game Pass, they are.
Mm-hmm.
Shooters are there, action adventures, role-playing games, family games, and one of the things that they're lacking, which they have some family games, they're lacking in they're lacking in two departments on Game Pass. Fighters, which they got some, right? Obviously, we know Blaze Blue was there and Guilty Gear. That's awesome, right? Those are great. But they're missing the platformer. They need Psychonauts is great. Psychonauts 2, fantastic game of the year for many people. But it's not going to resonate with people. It's just not. It's a very adult oriented game. It's not a Mario. It's not a Banjo. It's not a Crash. It's just not. So Steel, the reason I bring it up is because of what the developer had to say. So his name is let's see, let me pull this up over here. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so the name of the gentleman is Greg Mayles, Mayles. He said, I can't really speak for Greg Mayles, who is currently the Rare's creative director, but he's really the custodian of the franchise. He doesn't really like to look back or tread over old ground. So I don't think he's ever been bothered about doing anything else with the franchise. He'd rather move on to new experiences. Now, obviously, this is the current director. Now, like I said, we know that Rare doesn't want to go back and do old things. That's fine. We don't need Rare to make a new Banjo Kazooie. We just don't. Kirkhope was basically is the one that actually made the comment on he doesn't think that there's a current audience. And I think his name is Grant Kirkhope. He was a composer who worked on a ton of Rare games in the past, and he believes that there's no current audience for Banjo Kazooie or Banjo 3, as he says. And of course, this conversation came up because we just celebrated the 25th anniversary of Banjo Kazooie, which is a big miss for Microsoft. Like, honestly, that's like, I know the ABK took on a life of its own. It's been the only thing that anyone can focus on. But Banjo Kazooie, I mean, how do you miss the 25th anniversary with nothing? Like nothing. It's crazy to me. But I bring that up because Parris Lilly, who we talked about in the opening, that's going to be on the Gaming Circle podcast with Keasante and Everyone's Saga this Saturday morning, he actually chimed in on the conversation regarding Banjo, and I wanted to, because what he had to say excited me, because obviously he brought up some really great points, as he does. He says this, folks: I look at Mario and the way Nintendo continues to reinvent and refresh that franchise for 40 years. The same can happen with Banjo Kazooie. To say there's no longer a market is simply not true. Xbox needs a platformer, and a beloved IP is sitting on the shelf. Now, I wrote to him and I said, in my personal opinion, the Xbox dream is that someone would either remake the OG N64 release, i.e. Resident Evil 2 remake, or tell a new adventure. Now, I linked something, and I've watched this video, I don't know, 20 or 30 times, and I get goosebumps. I get emotional because the character really does mean a lot to me. And I again, if you follow me on Twitter, go check out this post. It was the announcement of Banjo Kazooie for Smash, and it was a group. I mean, there had to be a wall-to-wall packed kids, and they're probably in the teenagers. They're probably in their late 16, 17, maybe even in their 20s. There's about 50 of them in there, and the way people went crazy. And this wasn't just go look up Banjo Kazooie Smash reveal. You will be blown away by the reception of these Xbox characters on the Nintendo platform. It's crazy. Talking about it has given me goosebumps. So, Steel, I want to go to you. The question very simply is this. You have kids, right?
Yeah.
Sonic is a big player in your household.
Yes.
Mario is a big player in your household.
No, he is not.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So Mario, not a big player in your household. No. Well, there you go.
They know who he is, but not.
But they don't have a real attachment to him. I think to suggest that in an era where Sonic is releasing a new game, Mario Wonder's coming out. Obviously, they just released a Crash fighting game, which just did not do very well at all. But that's, a new Crash game, a new Spyro game would sell gangbusters, like a legitimate, homage to the originals. It would sell. Do you believe what the not the director, the guy that makes the music said about there not being a current audience for a new Banjo Kazooie? Because I 1,000% disagree.
I'm of a couple minds of it. There's always an audience out there for any type of game that gets released, right? The biggest thing for me, and this is something that I've liked to talk about more on a critical level, because it is something that we do have to face, and it adds value to the conversation. Gaming when we were young, or I'll say when I was young, so we'll say 20 years ago, 20 to 25 years ago, 15 years ago, is not the gaming the way that it is now. The way that I see kids game now, they don't have nowhere close to the same interest as we had, right? Everything's more online, everything's more engaging. They want that constant thrill. They're all involved in Minecraft, Roblox, these games that aren't the base game that a lot of people think of, right? You think of Minecraft, you're like, oh well, you just go in there and build blocks all day. No, they literally have games inside that game. Right, it's not just Minecraft anymore. Now you can play tag. Now you can play team deathmatch. Now you can play capture the flag. Like, you can literally do whatever you want in Minecraft. Same thing with Roblox. It's the exact same. So, with that being stated, it is very difficult for a younger generation to get into these single player focused, cartoon driven, whatever you want to call them, type of games, because that's just not where their friends are. That's not where their headspace is at. Yeah, you might get them into that before the age of 10, but after that, they're not going to care. Even my kids, they may love Sonic and they may have some appreciation for Mario, but my kids don't just pick up a Sonic game unless I ask them to. Right? My kids aren't just going to pick up any one of these games. You know what they will pick up? Roblox. You know what they will pick up? Minecraft. You know what they will pick up? Gang Beasts. You know what? These are the games that they're picking up now. It's not the same. So for me, the issue that I have with Banjo Kazooie is that it is us literally falling on memories of something being great. Right? Nothing against Banjo, because I do think that it would have a place, but making a third game, I don't think would be the proper approach. Instead, if you really want to get an understanding of whether there's value or whether there's a base there for you or not, take the first game and remake it. But the thing about that is you have to have a developer that actually cares about the IP, because other than that, it's not going to work. That's the problem, and that's the main thing that Rare has the issue with, right? Is that since they don't have the want and the love to want to try to bring that game back to reality, who else will and has that same appreciation for Banjo? I mean, I would love for you to do it, Boom, but unfortunately, you're not a game developer, right? So it's like, now if somebody was going to get behind Boom, hey, get behind Boom and let him lead the team, and he could be your game director. I'm pretty sure we'll end up getting a pretty bomb Banjo out of it.
But you better believe it. I have ideas.
See, exactly.
I got ideas, but I have no talent whatsoever to make a game.
Hey,
so
that's not what it's about. You just need ideas. You get paid big bucks for ideas, trust me. But it's just, for me, I want somebody, because I do see gaming as art and I want it to be treated as such. I don't want this to be something that is just given to somebody, hey, make a third game. Somebody that has no background, has no skin in the game, doesn't get what made Banjo and Kazooie great, right? It's like people make fun of that bear and the bird whole dialogue thing, but there's a reason why people, especially in on our generation, gamers that have been in the game for some time, have a liking to them as far as a duo goes, right? They're up there with Sonic and Tails, Mario and Luigi. They're kind of up there in that same conversation. So is there something that is possible there? Sure, but I would rather them go back and remake that first game to really scope out whether there's an audience there or not. Because from there, you can do the same thing to the second game, and then you don't have to come up with new ideas. And it'll be so. I'm not gonna say it's easy. Nothing in game development is easy, but it would be simpler than you trying to get up all this capital to create something that you don't necessarily even believe in, right? So, I don't know.
No, it's a fantastic point, and I do agree with you. I definitely think you're onto something with that. There's something to be said about passion to make a game.
Right.
Nobody wants to just follow the color by numbers. Nobody wants to go, oh, color red 1, blue 2, or yellow 3. Nobody wants that.
Right.
And then what's going to come out is going to be a mess. There is something to be said about remaking the N64 original.
That game's how old? Like at this point, like a graphic, and the game was. That game, and along with the second game, were so graphically impressive from the time that they came out. You would imagine what those games would look like if they were completely remade.
Yeah, well, first of all, the original one came out. I believe it's 25 years ago, which is freaking ridiculous. They can take the blueprint, right? Take the blueprint and remake the original. Just that's all you gotta do. There it is. You don't have to do it. I mean, if you want to add some extra stuff to it, you want to make modern controls, absolutely. A modern camera, where you can actually turn the camera and it's not wonky. I mean, a perfect example of what a modern one would look and potentially play like is Ukulele, which was amazing. Absolutely an amazing homage by all X-Rare developers, by the way. C-Money, obviously, Mario is, because Mario Kart is in your name, so obviously
Mario's in the house, that's for sure.
It has a place. Mario, I mean, look, this year we're getting Mario Wonder, which is going to sell 10 million copies before the end of the year. I'm buying 2. I already bought 2. I got one for me and one for my nephew. Nice. I can't wait to play it. It's another amazing looking Mario game that I've been playing since I was 15 when I got my NES for my 15th birthday. And I haven't looked back since. But I think there's something to be said about the way that, and again, folks, I'm trying to come at this from 2 points of views for your, so you can have your discussions. The model that used to make games either start development or fail development is because risk was always a concern to make a game that may not be a 10 million seller. See, that's where Xbox Game Pass comes into play, and that's why a game like a Banjo Kazooie remake done by a studio like a Toys for Bob, should they own them, would be a big deal, because Toys for Bob has already publicly talked about, not recently, this is many, many years ago, that they would love to do a new Banjo. And so it's out there. They would. That was years ago. I'm sure that if they were tasked to do it, because they have created both Spyro and Crash, and those are legendary IPs by themselves. If they were given the reins for a rare IP like a Banjo, I think they would kill it. And if they did say, "Hey, listen, we're going to just remake the original," I don't think anyone would complain. But I think the driving point here is that there really isn't risk of who's going to buy the game, because that's not the point of making it. It's about adding lifeblood to your service and offering up newer, younger players, which they're trying to get into the service. They want people playing with their kids on the couch, the same way Phil Spencer did with his kids. And the only way you're going to do that, because they're never going to get a Mario of their own, because Mario is Mario. That's Nintendo. But if you own Crash Bandicoot, you own Spyro, you own Banjo, and potentially next year Sonic with Sega. I mean, wow! You got to bring these types of experiences for the parents of current subscribers to play with their kids. It's a missing mark. C-Money. What are your thoughts on Banjo potentially being relevant in this era of gaming?
So there's a lot of different angles to look at this. Like Steel Rain brought up the idea of like the younger generation that we might at first glance think that's who we would make this game for. that they're not really there, right?
Yeah,
Like
they wouldn't.
I have a bunch of kids and different age ranges, and the little ones, they are not looking to play the next Sonic. They do hit up Mario. They do hit up Mario. Um, but the biggest thing that you ask them, hey, you want to go play something? They're gonna go put on Roblox. They're gonna go.
Yep.
Fortunately,
Dude, there's like a million games in Roblox.
There
Like
is.
this,
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like they play massive amount of Roblox. But they also love their Gang Beast or the Human Fall Flat. Anything that's silly, right? Like they love all that silly stuff that happens too, right? So when you look at it that way, I would say, yeah. I mean, there's if that was the market you're trying to cater to, I think that there's no market there for you because I don't think that's what the little kids are looking for nowadays. But I mean, that being said, I think when Microsoft runs their numbers on consoles and things like that, I think that's why they keep saying that the number of console players are not growing because those young kids are not obsessed with the consoles like we were back in our day. I think they look at those kids who want to do Roblox, even though they're playing it on an Xbox or a PlayStation, well, not a PlayStation, but an Xbox. They're looking at them as like that's the mobile generation, right? Like that's where we're trying to get into mobile now to reach those kids because that's what those kids want, right? Ease of access, fun, funny stuff that's not too deep, which is, as I say those words, is very sad because at some point those kids are going to be the people who are making games, and what's going to happen to us, us old folk with playing like I don't know. It's I'm look sad for that future of gaming for us, but I think that they know that, right? So I think that with the amount of consoles that they are and the amount of consoles for people who grew up with these things, who do have like that nostalgia. I mean, there's a reason why Resident Evil 2 got remade and blew up, right? It's Resident Evil 2 it's a nostalgia play, right? That's an old ass game. It was a great game. But realistically speaking, if you sat down right now to just play Resident Evil 2 without the remake, right? You'd be like,
oh yeah,
come on,
Well,
man.
first of all, you
I
had
can't do
fixed
this.
camera, right?
10
So
controls, all this stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
it's just not relevant, right? But because Capcom said, well, that game was relevant at that time, if we give it the juice that it needs to make it look relevant for now and play relevant for now, all of a sudden they had this massive hit that you have now they don't stop, right? They're doing everything redone, right? So I can definitely see a world, even minus Game Pass, where you say, all right, we're not gonna, this is not like a $100 million budget game. You know what I'm saying? It's all right, let's take the bones of the original and let's remake that. I do agree that you don't go into a new Banjo because you don't know what that new Banjo looks like. You're just be throwing shit against the wall hoping it sticks at that point. But you go deep into a remake as far as just aesthetic, maybe upgrade the controls and all that fun stuff just to make it relevant now. But I think you do that and you have a market. I think not, again, maybe not humongous market, but you have a market. There's, a significant amount of people who would be like, oh, I would love to replay that. You throw on top of that the fact that, just like Boom said, Game Pass exists. And the world we live in now, you got Game Pass. I don't care what you put in the Game Pass. I'm willing to try it, right? I'm willing to try it. So you have the people who are going to be nostalgic for Banjo, who's going to be like, oh my God, it's in Game Pass. Boom, I got it. And then you're going to be tons of people are going to be like, well, what's the hype about? Don't know. Let's download it. Let's play it. Let's see what's what. And most of those people are not going to like it because they weren't pimped from it back then and they're not going to be good for it now. But you'll get a number that do convert and say, oh, wow, this is actually really good. And then what Game Pass allows them to do is, just like you said, they can go, boom, do number 2. I mean, I think we already have the blueprint, right? Crash did this, right? Crash came out with their trilogy.
And they sold like gangbusters. Gangbusters. That and Spyro sold crazy numbers, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And they didn't have Game Pass, right? So, like, you figure you got Banjo coming in looking fresh, like you're talking high quality look, right? Still that cartoonish look, but looks like, wow, that's what that game would look like if it was made today. That's amazing. People will hop in, man. People hop in, they'll play. And again, Game Pass allows there to be a market for sure, right? Where people are going to play it, right? You'll definitely, that game comes out, you'll see that message a couple of weeks later or whatever saying, oh, 5 million people have played Banjo, right? And again, remember, like Xbox, they don't care about. I mean, as much as they want you to spend money, you're already spending money on Game Pass, right? So as long as you're staying in Game Pass, that's all they give a shit about. So those numbers, those 3 million, 5 million people, that's 5 million subscribers who paid $15 to stay subscribed to play that game that month, right? Like that means something to them. You know what I'm saying? So I agree again on both sides, because I think if Microsoft goes into this saying, let's get the kids, there's no kids again. Yeah, you're lost. It's over. The kids don't give a shit. They have no. It's again. My oldest is 16, and we go down to 3, and we got some in the middle. And the little ones, they have no idea of any of what we were into. Like again, Mario's the only thing that they know, because it's the easiest thing to start them with when they're small. So you hand them a controller, you let them play, especially now with Switch, right? It's just like the easiest thing. Here, play it, see what you like, and then they just get used to that, and that's why they play it going forward. But again, they put an Xbox controller in their hand, Roblox.
Roblox,
that's where
Fortnite,
you know. Not even, man. Like the little kids, they don't even go that far. They're happy.
Why do you think? Didn't Microsoft get Gang Beasts in Game Pass? Like, didn't they get that in there?
Yes. Yeah, my kids love Gang Beasts. And Party Animals is coming out, and that's I guarantee you that's going to be a hit. Yeah, that's going to be an even better version. I mean, we play it, right? It's a way for us to play with the kids too, and a fun thing, and they have a great time. The other one, Rubber Bandits, that's the other one. That's a banger. They love that game. It's so good. Anything that's kind of like halfway silly with like the physics,
quirky,
they laugh, they love it. Like they just have a blast doing it. It's crazy. So like that whole world is very different from like the mainstream stuff that we're hoping for and looking for. So as long as Microsoft understands what they're getting into, I don't think there's a fail situation for them. As long as they're understanding they're not going at the kids, they're going at Game Pass and at the nostalgia play for the people who are into it, and then everybody else on Game Pass will try it, and it'll either be something that they like that they can build off for, or maybe you get that one Banjo and that's the end. You got your remake. I mean,
it's definitely possible. I mean, see, my thought process, gentlemen, is that okay. So the nostalgia play, I think it's one of the things Nintendo is king at, right? They know how to pull your nostalgic heartstrings, and they do it well. And
they do it the same way all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty much
very simple. It's just rinse and repeat. They do that with every generation that comes up. You know, it's crazy. But
and you know what? You know what the number one selling game is on Switch right now? Mario Kart. And it's not even from.
They didn't even make one for the Switch, bro. Nope. They skipped the generation.
Yep, same one from the
Wii U. They skipped the generation. They say, you know what? Nobody played it on the Wii U. We'll make it for this. Call it deluxe. And boom, it's gone. And man, it's amazing though. It's still like there's no kart racer out there that can touch it. And every time we get a new pack, it's like we got a new game. It's like, oh, we got some more boards. Let's hop back in. Yeah, and we play. I mean, it's just they're the kings, bro. They know what they're doing.
So I mean, my ideology behind bringing Banjo Kazooie back is simply that yes, the nostalgia play is they're trying to grab us, right? Like, so if you have kids or kids in your life, like my nephew, I would be sitting on the couch playing with him, and he would be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And he knows him from Smash. He's like, "Oh, so you know,
we can recognize him, right?" That's actually a key thing, Boom, that we didn't talk about, because you gotta put. You can't. I wouldn't make Banjo a Xbox exclusive.
Oh no, I'd put it on the Switch. Are you freaking kidding me, dude?
You have to put it on the Switch.
That would be crazy if you didn't do that,
dude. I thought of something even more crazy than what you just said. They're good. They're very good friends with Nintendo. Why not let Nintendo make the next Banjo?
I mean, that would be kind of taking it far, because I still
the money would be the problem, because Nintendo would take so much of the money that at that point Microsoft's like, why are we even doing this? You know, because they're not.
I would say partner with them and do a 50-50 split. But listen, look, at the end of the day,
I say give it to them in their online. You know what I'm saying? Let them put it in their online. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just boom. You're subscribed to Nintendo Online. You got Banjo.
Yeah.
That's
Total
money.
deal for that. Yeah.
I'm gonna keep fighting the good fight, folks, until we get a kart racer with Xbox characters, until we get Banjo Kazooie and a new fighter. I'm gonna keep.
It's worth it, dude. It's worth it. I think a lot of people don't realize how far you can go with like really good graphics. Like if you make something that's like really stunning, like people will want to play that shit. You know, like there's a level of like I am one of those people. That's what I'm saying. Right?
Yeah.
If something looks good enough, I'll give it some time because I'm obsessed with the idea of I've always been since Nintendo, right? Every time a new system came out, it's like, oh my god, it looks so real. It looks so real. I'm talking like pixels, right? Like, oh my god, it looks so real, right? Like I love it. I love the idea of them pushing graphics further, and it just you take a game like what's that? Teardown. Teardown. You know that game that's on PC that's coming out on Xbox, PlayStation that is literally just blowing up buildings to get to your to do the mission. It's just blowing a bunch of shit up.
Yeah,
it's so beautiful. I play it because it's just so fucking fun that you just blow shit up and it looks so stunning. You put great graphics on a Banjo game, you'll draw.
Well, yeah, if you made his fur like lifelike looking, and like when the wind blew, his fur moved, and the bird
Conquer 2.0.
It would be it'd be crazy. But listen, I want to move on to the IO topic, gentlemen, because we have about let's say 20 minutes or so. I want to get that in and really discuss it. But the Sosa says, I think Colt, meaning Colt Eastwood, is an AI for sure. He doesn't like Banjo. How could that happen? I've been fighting with Colt, not really fighting with Colt. He's against it. I'm for it. We definitely do not. We politely agree to disagree on Banjo Kazooie, and we also have Red Monkey Bunk says, why is the judge taking so long to make a quick and easy decision? And my answer to you is, you'd rather. I would rather a long no than a long yes than a short no, meaning that she'd block it. I think she's taking her time with it. She's using all the evidence that was presented by both parties. The FTC did not do a good job. We know that. She fought them back on a lot of things. One of which was the most important aspect was you're not here fighting for Sony, which you kept saying. I guarantee you, if you did a drinking game, how many times they said PlayStation,
you'd be gone.
You'd be dead because you'd get alcohol poisoning, because that's all that mattered to them was protecting Sony's number one market share, which is crazy to me that would be, you're supposed to be for the people. So I would, again, it's going to come down. I was hoping it'd come down Wednesday. It didn't. It's not here today. It's probably, we're probably going to get it tomorrow, to be honest with you, because obviously the July 18th close date is right around the corner, and I don't think and Microsoft needs 5 days. They have to wait in order to close if she doesn't give the PI. So if the latest that she could potentially give the decision, I think, is Tuesday. Otherwise, Microsoft's in a bit of a pickle, because at that point, Activision would have to agree, hey, extend it a day or two. So, but I don't think she's gonna. She's
aware of it already. Like
she understands everything.
She already said it.
So she understands.
She knows the date.
Yeah, she does. So I would imagine that it's going to come down tomorrow. At what point tomorrow? I can tell you this: we have Breakfast with Boom at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and San Francisco hours. That's 8 o'clock in the morning. So I don't think that you get a decision to come down unless it's uploaded
7
overnight.
o'clock in the morning.
7 o'clock in the morning. That's right, because it's 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yep. So I don't know if they do end of day, end of market kind of situation where they're concerned about whether they're going to sway the market if she blocks it, or she doesn't agree with the FTC and she says, no PI for you. I don't know, but I have a strong suspicion we're going to know tomorrow. But guys, I want to talk about IO Interactive because obviously we have several people reporting on it, and one of which is Idle Sloth, good friend of the program, great friend of the community. We have learned that IO Interactive has just announced that they have opened up a new studio in the UK, surprisingly enough. And they are there, and they're going to be working on, along with the other studios in IO Interactive, finishing the work on James Bond, finishing the work on Project Fantasy, which was originally Project Dragon, and of course the next Hitman game. They're working on 3 games. I have been in the rah camp steel that this is one of those studios that must join Xbox. They've been here, there, and everywhere, and their last round was Square
Hitman.
Enix, which Square Enix does what Square Enix does. They threw
Yeah.
them under the bus and was like, "Yo, peace, you're out." And they bought the rights for Hitman. They took it
Right.
with them. I don't know if that was the contract or they actually bought it, but
Right.
they own Hitman. I think Hitman as a franchise would be amazing as potentially an Xbox exclusive franchise. The same way I believed Tomb Raider would have been that franchise from for Xbox. But
Right.
when you start to see the investment, see, this is where this is my conspiracy brain. I'm hanging out with Everborn too much, maybe, because my conspiracy
No.
brain starts to say, well, this is not the first new studio that they've opened up. So they're getting funded by somebody, right? Now we know that they're working with Microsoft on what we believe to be Project Fantasy as an exclusive, right? That's going to be an exclusive, supposedly.
Yeah.
Maybe James Bond is going to be an Xbox exclusive. I don't know because they haven't said.
There's
But
a
they're
reason they
opening
didn't
studios.
announce it.
Yeah, well, they're opening studios left, right, and center. I kind of feel like Microsoft is already working with them. Does IO make sense to you, Steele?
I think IO Interactive makes a lot of sense. I mean, if you to bring that again, we were talking about adding variety and diversity to your platform, and I think that there would be the perfect ones, right? As much as I haven't been into Hitman recently, doesn't mean that Hitman doesn't have a place, and it has actually a pretty decent audience. If I'm not mistaken, of at least 10 million players. So if you're able to get everybody brought over, I mean, like, on a graphical standpoint, on a gameplay standpoint, on a sandbox standpoint, and even if the rumors are true about Splinter Cell coming back, and I know that's Ubisoft, but Splinter Cell has also been traditionally around with Xbox, right? It would make a lot of sense if somehow they were able to get IO to be part of that Splinter Cell project, because I think that they would be the perfect stewards, right? You've been making Hitman for such a long time. Why not move to something a little bit more that could be a little bit more action-packed, a little bit more story-driven, and allows you to play with your sandbox in different ways, kind of like what we saw from Blacklist. I mean, again, Splinter Cell for me is such a key one that I would want IO to be on, because of their expertise as far as third-person mechanics and shooting and being able to blend in with the environment and with everything. Mainly because I want someone, and I haven't gotten, Hitman hasn't hit for me this way, but that Splinter Cell Blacklist trailer that we got years ago, where they really showed that locomotion, where he's coming out of cover and just busting everybody, he's just moving, he's chugging out like 6-7 guys.
John Wick, man.
Just killing them.
Wick style.
I'm waiting for another game to really show their roots in that aspect and bring the action-packed nature of that dark spec ops kind of environment back out that we haven't had in some time. Again, Splinter Cell's been away for at least a generation, so that would be the main play that I would want to see. But overall, just IO Interactive in totality, they would just be a good dev to have under your belt. Again, that'd be one of those things to where you want to bring more people in. You want to have people always ask for those third person over the shoulder. I mean, Hitman is an action adventure, but it is a shooter, right? And I do think that Xbox also has more of an ecosystem to host them versus like them going to a PlayStation or anybody else, mainly because I would like to see what a multiplayer Hitman would look like, right? Maybe some King of the Hill, some Team D, something like that. I think that would be really dope. And maybe being under Xbox, that would give them some additional capital to be able to do those things, whereas they don't have that right now. I think a lot of the issue currently in the industry is making sure that certain teams get the capital they need, along with having someone that has the vision to make these pieces of art to come to reality. So I think IO would be a great play. I would be excited to see that. And yeah, it would definitely add diversity to Microsoft's platform.
I agree. I think there are, like Asobo, like Avalanche.
Yeah.
These are studios that honestly, are like Ninja Theory, are ultimately not going to be able to survive on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's a proven fact.
Oh yeah.
Games are getting more and more more costly to develop. Talent is becoming more and more expensive to keep. Obviously, if games are, we have learned that even Microsoft had admitted this. Game development is moving from back in the days 3 years to now minimum 5 years. So, can an IO Interactive survive you know, m- producing 3 games, right? Obviously, they had to pay for the license for James Bond, very expensive,
Yeah.
right? They had to make a deal with Microsoft to make this exclusive Project Dragon, and they have their own game, their own franchise that they own. So when you see this, this is where I know a lot of people get really like edgy and nervous about the word consolidation, and you don't want 3 platforms owning the entire world. You don't want that. But it's safe to say that when you see talent like IO, when you see talent like Asobo and Avalanche, who's working on another Xbox exclusive, uh, it makes perfect sense to bring them in. Certain Affinity, who is all X343 devs, they are the tip of the spear when it comes to anything Halo. They're outside of Microsoft. Now they're working exclusively with them, the same way like Insomniac worked with PlayStation before they were purchased.
Mm-hmm.
That's another studio I'd love to see come into the fray because of their talent with Halo, and they're currently working on a new Halo game. Whether how that turns out, we don't know, but we'll know soon enough. See, money. Before I get to you, brother, I got to catch up on super chats. It's been, my God,
No,
so
no,
many of them. So
absolutely.
we also have let's see, draw. Okay, so we have Kirby Zero Louise, good friend of ours and a developer in the gaming community. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "There's no need for it to be remastered so soon. Just let Microsoft's amazing 360 emulator do enhancement auto magically." I mean, that's true. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 1 is kind of old. I mean,
It's
it's
old. Wow.
in
It is
my
too bad.
opinion, I mean, it's 360 old, and that's skipping a whole Xbox One, PlayStation 4 gen, and now we're going into year 3 of this gen. I don't know. I kind of think it's been long enough. I would love a Red Dead Redemption to look like Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, come
Yes.
on, man. That's just bonkers. We also have Drawn TJ drops not one but $2 super chat and says, the first one, he says, "I want a new Midnight Club." A lot of people do. Midnight Club was pretty
Yeah.
dope back in the days. That would be kind of dope by Rockstar.
Midnight Club was the
Uh,
shit.
and I saw some talk about Max Payne. They are remaking Max Payne 1, remaking it like Resident
Yes, I'm
Evil.
glad.
And it's on all consoles. There was some thought, oh, it's only going to come to it's not. It's coming to every console,
Mhm.
day and date. That's confirmed. And he also said, Drawing TJ drops an additional $2 super chat. Says, "I think the deal will go through." Yes, I'm confident the deal will go through, but I'm also skeptical because of what happened with the CMA. Maybe it's PTSD for deals. I don't know, but we'll see. My name is Mud drops a very generous $10 super chat. Now this is funny. We didn't talk about it today. We briefly mentioned it yesterday. He says just a little extra on top of all that money Microsoft is paying you. And what he's talking about is there's actual PlayStation YouTubers that say that we're paid shills. I know I was in a video, not me per se. My name was mentioned as being a paid shill. I mean, I showed you folks. I got the keys FedEx, man. Microsoft, they put out all the stops. I got like 7 rooms, like 6 bathrooms. I don't know what to do with the place. It's too big. So I don't know. But thank you, Microsoft. Can I tell you? Jordan TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Don't forget the super chats, boom. There is more important games than Banjo. There is, but Banjo deserves to exist in current form. Just because it's an old game does not mean it doesn't have a place." And a perfect example, all I'm going to say is this: I'm not saying or suggesting, guys, that Mario is any less or more important than Banjo. Banjo is obviously a smaller character compared to Mario, which has a 40-year history as opposed to a 25-year history. But just watch the sale numbers of a Nintendo game developed with love and respect for the IP. I am telling you, Mario Wonder is going to sell 10 plus million copies
Easy.
before the end of 2023. Mark
Easy.
my words. And it may even be more than that. And the reason I can absolutely without a doubt say that is Nintendo Switch has one of the most insane 1-to-1 ratio game and console in gaming that has ever been seen before it. It is staggering how many Switch owners buy their first party, unlike what happens at Sony. Okay, I'm telling you, it's crazy. We have Dreadful Sean drops a very generous $5 super chat and says there probably isn't a market just on Xbox, but if they made it for Xbox and Switch, I bet there'd be a much larger market. I think that would be brilliant if they team, because what they could do is Microsoft could find a developer, make it, publish it on Xbox, and I mean maybe they publish it on Nintendo or Nintendo publishes for them. I don't know how that would work, but I'm not in business. But that would be if they released a Banjo on both platforms. First of all, one would be you play it on Game Pass and it may not sell. I am telling you, a new Banjo would sell gangbuster numbers on the Switch. I'd buy both. I'd buy the Xbox and I'd buy the Switch version. No even thought process necessary. We have Andy Angrand drops a very generous $10 super chat. He says, "Forget Marvel and DC. Phil should get Invincible, Darkman, The Shadow, Big Team Battle, Halo
Spawn
equals GI Joe. Replace Titanfall mechs with Autobots, Decepticons, and give us Thundercats, He-Man, Mask, acquire the 80s. Listen,
good ones in there.
Every one of those are bangers. I will tell you that as an 80s kid, I wish I could live in the 80s because it was amazing. Cartoons were amazing. The music, listen, music is great. I mean, I listen to Octane on Sirius. I love my metal, but man, there was no better time for music on every genre, not just hair band. I'm talking about everything. Like rap in the 80s was freaking, I mean, they changed it to hip hop, but rap in the 80s was phenomenal. I love the 80s. Mrs. Boom and I, huge 80s fans. So we have a couple more super chats. We have Fantas Archer drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I can see relevance in a new Banjo with any form. Let's see if Microsoft can make that mobile push and maybe Banjo appears there. I mean, if there's a world where an actual console version exists and you want to give me a mobile version, I will accept. If it's going to be a mobile only, I cannot accept that deal. I'm sorry. Right. Nintendo the Otaku drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Mario survived 40 years because they innovated with every release and raised the bar, not because they rinse and repeat. You can say that about most. That's true. I mean, listen, Mario Kart 8 it didn't get the audience that it deserved, and that's why it came out. And they're still adding to it. They added, I think, in the last 6 months, like 25 new maps.
Yeah,
new tracks. It's crazy, and they're all gorgeous. And that runs at 60 frames, which is bonkers. We have Joshua Billings drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Nintendo Microsoft team up Banjo Donkey Kong co-op game. Dude, that'd be crazy. That would be some crazy stuff right there because I love DK. And we will see. Only time we can. Like I said, I'm gonna keep towing the line. But see, Money, let's get your hot take, and then we'll get everyone out of here on IO Interactive. Does this studio deserve to become first party of Microsoft?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think Microsoft. I think Microsoft is going to be eyeing specifically anyone it's working with, because one of the big things that they learned from Killer Instinct was, it's not just in the middle of making a game can they get called out by somebody else and screw you up, but right. That can also screw you for potential sequels or anything else you want to do with the franchise later. If you have one studio who made this banger of a game, then they're gone. They don't want to make part two. Then you're screwed, right? So I mean, because of that, if the rumors are true that, which obviously we saw it on that thing, but Jez since had come out and said that's old, so it might be canceled or whatever. We don't know. But if they're making that first party game for Microsoft, the Project Fantasy, James Bond, that is a third party license, right?
Mhm.
If that was gonna, that should have already been labeled as multi-platform. The reason that they didn't is the same reason that Indiana Jones came out just showing the logo and didn't say where it is because something is happening in the background that might potentially make that James Bond game exclusive. All right. So I can definitely see the fact that they're buying, like, what are they making? Like, they're not, like, what's the name of the damn game that they make? Hitman 3, right? It's let's not think that right now Hitman is continuously selling millions of copies every month, right? Like it's already on its way down, slow down course, right? So what would make them feel like it makes sense for them to keep opening new locations unless there's something that they feel is coming to back them, right? Like I just feel like they're setting up their cards where they want them to lay, and that is just going to make it an even bigger dollar sign that Microsoft's going to have to put out. But I think they know that Microsoft wants them, and not to mention we saw it on they're on the list, bro. They're on the list. We got a fact sheet on them, right? Like they're in line, right? So if I mean, it just makes sense to me that they're up next. But you talk about them, you talk about Asobo, man. Asobo, I want them to buy so badly. I want them to buy them so bad. I know Flight Simulator is dope. Yo, Plague's Tale is so underrated.
Dude.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you look at the trajectory of where they made their game, right? It's like the first one is tight and but really high quality. Second one, they kind of brought it out more, but not quite open world, right? And I feel with Microsoft backing, like with Microsoft taking this over, I think they can follow the same trajectory as The Witcher. You had 1, 2, and then boom, Plague's Tale could be this massive, much bigger open world game with, oh my God, like the storytelling they do in those games, the quality of the cinematics for being a small studio. You know what I'm saying? Like Focus is the publisher, for
Focus Entertainment's been hitting bombs left, right, and center as well.
Focus needs to get bought. That's what I think. If you want to buy a publisher, buy Focus, dude.
Can I say something?
I
mean, we're not going to get into the talk because we're at the end of the show. But you know who I would get as a publisher? I would add them and let them do their own thing. Annapurna.
Yes,
I'd buy Annapurna. First of all, by the way, did anyone watch the film on Netflix that Annapurna backed? Phenomenal.
It's a recent one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We just saw. I forget the name.
Phenomenal film.
I forget
Disney
the name.
passed
But we
on
just
that.
saw it.
Actually, it was
Nimona. Yes,
Nimona. Yeah, phenomenal film. Actually, when Disney bought Fox, they took ownership of Blue Sky, who they closed. And this was the title they were working on. They passed on it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was something.
That's wild. Sure.
Yeah, that was something. But yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the landscape of where Microsoft can hit next, I mean, you have IO, which for sure should be on like up next if they're working on that exclusive game. You got Asobo, who, come on, man, they're making Flight Simulator. You need to lock them down so that they're just yours.
In-house,
okay?
Yeah.
In-house. That's your in-house Flight Simulator. That team, they love it. It's clear. Those people who make Flight Simulator at Asobo had no desire to be making anything other than Flight Simulator. So bring them in-house. They're there, and then you let the other team go wild on their next place. Oh my God, I would love that so hard. So you have them. I will forever hope and just wish Crytek, man. I want Rise 2.
Yep. Me too.
Rise was amazing, dude. I know people were hating on it because of the quick time. I don't give a shit. That was a beautiful game. It was stunning.
I play it all the time as background. People like that game was from 2013.
Yeah, dude.
That's an
cinematics
Xbox One launch title. It's crazy.
The cinematic works they did back then, Xbox One launch title. God tier, bro. It was amazing. So I don't understand how we don't have a Rise 2, and I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it go multi-plat because you're not. I don't care what anybody says. All right, people have this thing about they don't need. There shouldn't be exclusives. Okay, um, I personally feel like every game should be exclusive on one side or another, and the reason I say that is because that is the only way that the technology behind that game will be pushed to the max. Any other version of it, it's a meeting place to try to make sure that it can run on all these other systems. Or if it's on PlayStation, they have to keep the Xbox version down a little bit so it doesn't, break parity with the PlayStation, right? So, like, I want to go back in the day, when they made the Sega game with the 16-bit, like they pushed that shit real hard. They
Yeah.
made it run the best that it could run. Exclusive games for me are my favorite types of games, and not because I play everything, but I would prefer if they really pushed these games to the next level. And you can't when you have to spread it, right? It's just is what it is.
I mean,
So
it's a perfect example. What you're saying is being able to learn your console is why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why Starfield is exclusive, but that's why you heard Todd Howard say, it really
yes,
did us. It did us a
focus.
service because now
Yeah.
we could focus on the Xbox Series X and S hardware. We don't have to worry about another platform. But look, at the end of the day, folks, we hit all three topics. We went a little longer than we normally go, but hopefully you enjoyed it enough to A, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and B, hit the like button. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we'll have the new episode of Breakfast with Boom. Obviously, I'm working on that show right now. I'm not sure what we're going to talk about, but obviously, we will have something fun to talk about as we always do as we continue to judge watch day 5 tomorrow, and hopefully, we do get a decision. But let's get to the outro. Steel Rain, sell your brand,
Ooh,
brother. You got your show coming up this Saturday with Pong Soul,
yes,
one
sir.
half of Living Split Screen, and you guys are still on the hunt for 1K, and you're
Yeah, yeah.
close. You're close. You're like 900 and change, bro. I mean, throw that link in there, man. We got 413 people here. There's got to be 90 something people that are not subscribed to one of the best
Maybe,
shows Saturday morning, bro. Seriously.
maybe, but like I always say, definitely coming through support only if you enjoy the content, and you can find that. That's Living Split Screen every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time. It's a non-console centric platform where we talk about everything going on within the gaming industry, give it that live, raw, and uncut perspective. And also, we use a lot of that RTS and that educated consumer perspective because we're not lawyers or any of those guys that are currently in the gaming industry. We're gamers, and we got a lot of professional experience that we like to just put our heads together and use. And potentially build up to those 3 billion gamers that Phil Spencer always talks about. I'll work on putting that link in the chat, but like Boom,
I already
again,
did it, brother. It's done.
perfect. Hey, excellent. I greatly appreciate that, Boom. You can find me, Steel Rain. That's I, Steel Rain, I. The T is a 7. Everywhere. The easiest place to type that in is going to be Google. You'll find all my information there. Just in case you want to make it easy, but if not, I'm on Twitter and I frequent the ecosystem of Xbox just because it goes in tandem with everything. A PC, Xbox, no matter where I'm at, my phone, it's all kind of tied in with each other. And I'm still searching for a reason to invest into a PlayStation. Let's see if Factions 2 will ever release and truly give me a reason. Nonetheless, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe and Boom. Thank you for inviting me back on. Much love.
Always great to have you here, and you already got one sub thanks to Happy Cloud
Ooh,
Gamer. So there you
thank
go.
you, Happy. Appreciate you.
Maybe we got you past the 900 mark because you were at 898, folks. Come on, I mean, listen. Like I said yesterday, we 900 subs, brother. You got 2, so you're past 900.
Hey,
There
shout out
you
to
go.
the
So
900 people. Much
they're
love, you guys.
100 subs away,
Get to
folks.
that
Listen.
1K.
I don't ask
Nice.
for much. I'm gonna be honest with you because I'll
All
never ask
organic.
for myself. I will give you the shirt off my back because that's just how I was raised. My pops was like that. So
Yeah.
when I come out here and I say, "Hey, listen, I have Living Split Screen. I have Pong Soul over here. I got C Money here. If I'm selling their brand, it's because I am not only a believer in that brand, but I'm subbed. So if I'm subbed and you trust me, I ask that you consider me allowing you to take a look, because again, YouTube is vast. There are so many amazing content creators that you may never find. And the one thing I will say that one of the biggest compliments I do get, and I am unbelievably grateful for getting it, is, "Hey, Boom, because of your show, you introduced me to him, her, and the other
Beautiful.
one." And I think that's the whole point of it, right? Like everyone knows who Mr. Boomstick is. So if you know me and you trust me, and I'm out here trying to help others grow their channel the same way they've helped me grow mine, I'd say give it a shot. Get over there, sub them, listen to an episode or three. If you don't like it, unsub. But at least let's get them to 1K. And that would be a big deal. So again, 413 people still here. They need
99 more.
99 more. Come on, folks. The link. Two clicks. Click the link, click sub. If you want to be generous, you want to be the generous gamer I know that you folks are, you hit a third time because you just hit that bell icon. So while we do see Money's outro and we talk about his amazing podcast, let's push some subs. But C Money, brother, obviously, again, if you don't know who C Money is, well, this is the fourth time he's been on the show. He has an amazing podcast with him, his wife, his son, his daughter. It's an unbelievably unusual way of doing podcasting, but it's family oriented. It's fun. It's great to watch, great to listen to. He does shows with his wife, which is also absolutely amazing. And he told us a story about just walking around the world of Red Dead 2, and look what happened. Talk about it. Sell your brand, C Money. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel? And more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
Absolutely. Well, first, again, Boom, I gotta thank you again, man. I really appreciate it. I love being able to get to do this. This is very cool. So I thank you a whole bunch for it, man. It means a lot to me. Steel Rain, it was a pleasure meeting you, man. I've seen you on the shows a bunch of times, so it's definitely cool.
Oh no, he froze.
No, that's the end. Oh, C Money, come back. We need you back.
Well, we'll give him a minute or three. He's
there. He is. Oh man, I was like, where did everybody go? Yeah. So again, I don't know how much of I got of the Steel Rain, but Steel Rain, is a pleasure meeting you, man.
Appreciate you. You too. Oh, they sniped him again. Okay, there he goes.
So listen.
All right. Listen, Mario Kart Madman is right under my name, right over here. That's the channel. C Money Forever is on Twitter. So C Money, the number 4, and then ever on Twitter. Yeah, man, we have a channel. We do a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, it's more like a family thing. My oldest son and my eldest daughter are part of it. My wife. We have different shows that we do. We do a lot of live streaming. So we do a lot of like live stream gameplays. We do some unboxing. We do a lot of different things. But the main thing that we have is every week we do our podcast. It's called On Point, the gaming newscast. And it's on Saturdays, but I have 6 kids, so we have a very hectic lifestyle. So we don't have a guaranteed set time. It's just a guaranteed set day, right? So sometimes it's early, sometimes in the afternoon. Just depends on how it plays. But we cover everything. I'm a huge Xbox guy, but I also have PlayStation, Nintendo. My wife is more of a casual gamer, but she follows the industry, so she keeps up with it and she has her insight. And then my son, he's 16, he's a younger kid. He has a different view on a lot of the topics that we talk about, coming from that different generation of how they look at gaming. So we kind of hit it from different perspectives. And overall, we have a great time. So I would love it. I mean, I know a lot of you guys have come by. I've seen you, so that's cool. Thank you so much. But I would, obviously love for you to check us out. Sub to us. We're about 150 away ish from 11,000 subs. So we would really appreciate coming up and come and hang with us. We like to talk with the chat and have a good time. So, appreciate it. I appreciate the stop by. And again, Boom, Steel Rain, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much. Hope to do it again.
Yeah, brother. Well, great to have you here again. Obviously, we'll have you back, and Steel Rain will have you back as well. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of conversation to be had one way or the other, whether the deal is approved or it's blocked. Folks, I have a strong feeling that it is going to go through, only because this is not the CMA, this is not the FTC, this is the federal judge who does not go with her gut. She is in a position that she has earned. She is a lifetime judge until she decides she wants to retire. So there's no political angle about, oh, if I make the wrong decision, I'm going to be bounced. No, she is a lifetime judge. She's incredibly intelligent. If the gamer's lawsuit shenanigans is any indication of how she does not stand or will stand for BS, you can expect that same kind of tenacity from how she's going to handle some of the FTC utter nonsense, and they're experts. So if I'm a betting kind of a guy, and I'm really not, but my glass is usually half full rather than half empty, I think that this deal does get approved. She does not issue the PI or the preliminary injunction to block it, and Microsoft closes, and Microsoft gets a well-deserved big W. But we'll know. We'll know probably tomorrow. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it. A big shout out to all the super chats that came in. Thank you so much for the incredible generosity that continues to
I think one just snuck in.
hold on a second.
Grand.
Let me get to it. Someone Andy Angrand drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says people think Banjo will look play like BK 1996. As if Mario, Sonic, Crash haven't upgraded for modern times. Yeah, I just think that if it's very easy to do. All you have to do is look at how Ukulele was done. That was modern controls with modern characters and modern graphics, and the game is gorgeous, all X-Rare. I think that could find the same way to Banjo. But of course, I'm going to close out the show, folks, with something that is important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig, I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.